So in today's video, we'll be talking about the cost of building a 100 capacity broiler poultry pen. So if you're thinking about setting up a broiler poultry pen or building one, or you want to start out in broiler, how to raise broilers, so today's video is the right video for you. So stay put while we get into the real depth of today's video. So if you're new to this channel, please do well to subscribe. To my returning subscribers, I say a very big welcome to you all. So today I'll be sharing with you guys some breakdown about the costing of building a 100 capacity poultry pen using my little pen I have at home as a case study. So follow me and watch the video to the very end. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the costs of setting up building a 100 capacity poultry pen. So there are different things that constitute to the cost of setting up a poultry pen. The way you put up your structure of your poultry pen will also determine how well your beds do for you. So in this case, you are setting up a, will I say a permanent structure, not a permanent structure, but something that's going to last for a longer period of time, let's say for 5 to 10 years. So most times 100 capacity broiler poultry pen are more or less classified as a backyard poultry kind of setup because the numbers is not much. So we classify them as a backyard farming, because there are few numbers. So these are few numbers of beds that a small scale farmer or someone can start. It's a good startup number that you can start up and gradually build your farm as you proceed. So running a 100 capacity farm, something is expected for you to do close to your house, very close to your house, So it's not going to occupy much space that I was start saying that you need to buy a land. Even you can rent a space where you can set this up and to do well for you. Or if you're living in a rented compound that has a space behind, you can set it up. So in this case, a 100 capacity broiler poultry pen will be seated on a 16 by 8 foot space. So like the space I have in here is a 16 by 8 foot space. So I'll be sharing with you guys details and things that you need to get to set this up. So it's not expected for you to do exactly the kind of design I did here. You have to do something a bit different. I learned some of the mistakes that I made and things that one can do better to achieve a better result so that you don't get to spend much. In my own case, why I decided to use this galvanized net, because my property is not fenced. It's just very close to the road. You can see there, that is the express road where vehicles are passing. So it's just very close to the road. So the place is not fenced. So that's why I decided to use this galvanized net that will be more secure, that will be a bit complicated for someone to break into it. So if you're running yours, I will strongly suggest you do it in a secured location where movement will be restricted and people not just coming around into your space unnecessarily. A place that is more secured, because it's expected for you to use galvanized mesh net. There are galvanized mesh nets that I will show the pictures on the screen for you to get to see them. So this structure here is a structure that is carrying 100 beds on full capacity. On full capacity, it carries 100 beds. So first of all, the first thing when you intend to set up a pen like this is to map out the space. That's going to carry these 100 beds. Like I said, it's going to be seated on a 16 by 8. That's the length is 16 foot and the width is 8 feet. So even the height of the pen, the side height should be a minimum of 8 feet. That's from this roof point down here. Should be a minimum of 8 feet. In my own case, I laid one coach of block underneath, and this one, that's the DPC level, where we'll now raise these other 2 blocks. So I will encourage you, if you're setting up yours, don't get to put this extra wall. Don't put this extra coach so as to enable flow of air inside of the pen. So, like I said, you don't need to put this extra wall to allow more ventilation of air into the pen. So that's one of the mistakes I made while setting up this. And another reason why I did this extra wall is to shade the beds from people just getting to see them outside like that. But somehow it's also costing me my beds going down sometimes during the times of the weather. When the weather is too hot, the weather tends to be a bit hot for them. So why I said that from this wall level to the top should be a minimum of 8 feet, because the distance between the floor level and the roof will help for airflow and minimize the level of heat that will be upon the bed whenever there's a heat crisis. Because in West Africa we always experience times of the year when the weather tends to be too hot, like during January, February, March. The weather tends to be too hot that it affects beds, especially big beds. Raising beds to achieve 3 kg in 6 weeks during that times of the year is quite challenging because of the heat. So I will encourage you to make sure that if you can make it more higher than that, that will be fine. In my own case, the height level from this part, from this place to the top is about, to this point is about 5 feet, because this nests do come in 4 feet. So I will encourage you, if you are setting up yours, so you just make it higher to be at least minimum of 8 feet, so that it will contribute for a better airflow inside of the pen. So like I said, the first thing first is to get an allocated space that will carry 16 by 8 pen. They'll get to dig up the foundations. You have to get laborers to do that. They'll dig up foundation, let it not be too deep. At least 1 foot is enough. Even if it's a bit less than 1 foot, that will still be fine. It's a poultry pen, because you still need to fill the inside of the pen and maybe the side of the pen too as well. So you're expected to run about 3 coach of this block work. About 3 coach of it will go around, So that 3 coach of blocks that will go around, 1 coach will be for the foundation inside underneath, like this. In my own case, there's 1 coach underneath the floor level, which serves like the foundation. Then we'll also have this 1 coach that raises to this point, the DPC level. Then this extra one. From here, you're supposed to now run your nets, your woodwork for your nets, to the top of the roof. So you will definitely need about 63 blocks to serve that purpose. So 63 blocks will go around for 3 coaches in your pen. That 63 blocks will cost you about 28,450,000. That's in naira. So I'll do the conversion of the total figures in dollars, and I'll display them on the screen for you to get to understand for my international audience. First thing first, you require blocks, about 63 of them, that will run around this pen up to 3 coach. 1 will be underneath for your foundation, then the second one to the DPC level, then 1 to the part where the block work will start up from. Where the nets woodwork will start up from. So afterwards, before they will do that, they will still need a bag of cement for the blinding on the floor, for the now start laying the blocks. So the number of cements that can carry for the laying of blocks should be at least, a bag of cement can carry for 63 blocks. Yes, a bag of cement can lay 63 blocks. So it's expected for you to use concrete blocks that are solid. Here in Nigeria, we call them solid block. Like this case here, I used a 5-inch concrete solid block. So the advantage of using a solid block is that when you're rain bears, there's every tendency that they tend to eat up some of the blocks. They tend to perch on the blocks and start feasting on it. So when you're using a solid block, it's going to prevent them from just feasting on it and opening it up to the other end, because it's total solid, compared to using hollow blocks like this. So I would advise you to use a solid for your walls, for your poultry pen. Even when you are doing in fact, most farm pens, it's always advisable to use solid blocks, because it tends to be a bit stronger. Because your block work is not supposed to go too high, so just that low level is okay. So afterwards, then if you intend to do the plastering, that's fine. Plastering will not going to cost you more than half bag of cement to run this plastering. Like in my own case, I had to do this plastering around because I noticed that we were feasting on the walls. So I plastered it to make it more stronger. So you see, but this plastering, I did it after several sets that I stocked in, and I noticed they were pecking on the walls. So if you want to plaster it, that's fine. That's optional. Next thing you require is to get galvanized poles. I strongly recommend galvanized poles. The essence of galvanized poles is that it helps to hold the main structure of the house. Most times some people say that if they use a strong hardwood, that it will serve. No. In this part of the world where we are, whereby most of our rain is mixed with some CO2 and refined chemicals up, because we are living in the Niger Delta region whereby most of our rain, it comes with some of the particles of refined materials up there. So most times it comes like a neutralized, or how will I say it, a diluted acid. So when those rainfall comes, it tends to eat up woodworks. So that's why I strongly advise you use galvanized poles like this. It's more stronger and it will last more longer than using wood, because wood over time, ants, insects will start eating it up. When the rain starts splashing on them, it will start going bad. Even some of the materials I use for my roofing, some of them ants have already started feasting on them already. So I strongly advise you use galvanized poles like this. So you will definitely need about 4 galvanized poles, because the intention is for you to use these poles on the 4 corners. So using those galvanized poles will cost you about 8,000 naira for each of them. So the total cost of getting galvanized poles for your pen will cost you about 32,000 naira. So after the galvanized poles, you definitely need to secure 2x2 wood. So this particular wood here is called 2x2. So you need this 2x2 for the roofing work, and also to set up for the net structure by the side, for the side walls. So you need about 25 pieces of 2x2 wood. In my own city, Port Harcourt, a 2x2 wood is costing about 700 naira at most. From a retailer close to you can get them for about 700 naira for the 2x2 wood. So you need about 25 of them, which will cost you about 17,500. Then you also need 2x4 for your framework. You see these ones are called the 2x4. So this 2x4 is what the carpenters will use to frame the poultry pen for the roofing and also for the internal pillars. Like here, I use the 2x4 for the internal pillars. The main corner points, I use the galvanized poles, so that even if this one goes bad, it can easily be replaced than when the ones on the corner goes bad. So you see, that's why I use the 2x4 for the internal pillars to hold this roofing framework. So you need about 20 pieces of the 2x4 wood, which each of them, the maximum cost you might get them around your area is about 1,200. Total will be going for 24,000 naira. Then for you to run the roofing work, like in my own case, I did one side sloping. This one side sloping is one of the cheapest means of roofing your poultry pen compared to the one that slopes on 2 sides. So in this case, I slope them on 1 side. And one of the things I would advise anyone setting up a pen like this is to try to avoid your structure leaning on the wall. Like I have a neighbor of mine that her pen is leaned on the wall. That's this back wall is the fence. So she leaned it on the wall. So her ventilation is just coming from just these 3 sides. So that's a limited ventilation. So I will encourage you to put up your structure in a place whereby you can have ventilation coming from the 4 sides, or at most, let's say 2 of the length side, the areas of the pen that are longer. Let it be that ventilation are coming from the 2 sides of the pen that are longer, so that you have more airflow than just coming out from just only this side and maybe the front pen, because there needs to be some flow of air in the opposite direction in the areas where they are much longer. So that's why I will encourage you not to put your poultry pen on a fence that will restrict the flow of air, except the part that is on the fence is the width area, which the length you'll be having both sides that will be having airflow. So moving forward, you need about 24 sheets of roofing zinc to roof the pen. So like in my own case, I use the 1 side sloping. Like I said, this 1 side slope, you make sure that you talk to your carpenters, or if you're doing it yourself, you make sure that you make the sloping to be a bit slit, so that water can easily drain off the roof with ease without anyone stagnating on the top. So we will require about 24 sheets of roofing sheets that we go through for the pen, which will be costing you, which is going to cost you about 55,000 naira, because each of the roofing sheets is now going for 2,300 for the Nigerian made roofing sheets. So I don't know what's going to cost like in your own area, in your own country. I think it might just be around that figure. You know, I'm going to convert these whole figures to dollars so you get to understand what it's going to cost like in your own country. So because I know most of these materials, the rates are usually almost the same in different countries, you know. So the next thing we'll be talking about is the galvanized net. Yes, like I said, in my own case, I use galvanized iron net, but you'll be using galvanized mesh net. So I'm going to be displaying the picture on the screen so you get to see it. You use that galvanized mesh net. They come in width of 4 feet, so you need double of it, you know. So 1.5 roll is expected to go round this pen, so you definitely need about 3 rolls that will go round for 8 feet, because the height for the low side is supposed to be minimum of 8 feet. Like this part that is low should be going for about 8 feet. So this other side that might be a bit higher, because it's expected for you to slope your pen. So one side will definitely be higher than one other end. So maybe this other side you use the remainder to complement the top side, or maybe you can decide to leave that part to be vacant. But I will really subscribe to you covering it. But in my own case, the top side I didn't cover it, which sometimes do pose as a challenge, because sometimes I do have some wild birds coming in from there, which also causes some kind of unnecessary illness on my birds, because they come in to feast on the feeds that I have in here, which is not really a good thing. So the next thing on the list, like I said earlier, we need 1 bag of cement for the blinding of the floor, and 1 other bag for the raising of the block work. And this parts where these posts need to be casted, you need to cast it. Use a 3/8 to cast them. So after doing your roofing, the next thing that you require is to do the flooring. So I remember when I was doing a renovation of a farm somewhere, when I told them I use about 40 bags to, or 40 plus, yes, 40 plus bags of cement to run the floor work, they were like, it's too much. You know, the pen of the farm was complaining, the money that he has spent in the flooring was just too much. But I did that from the experience I've gotten from my own pen and the different farms I've worked in. So one of the things about poultry pen is that while you are doing cleaning, this floor undergoes wearing and tearing. So like you can see here in this floor, I hope you can see very well. You can see that this most part of this floor are eaten up. That's why it's good for you to do a very strong casting. So for the floor work that you need for this 16 by 8, you need a minimum of 3 bags of cement. 3 bags of cement, because the ratio that you need to do to achieve a very strong flooring is 3 wheelbarrow of sand to 1 bag, or at most 3.5 wheelbarrow of sand to 1 bag. In that case, the floor work will be strong enough, because it's expected for you to make your thickness of the flooring to be at least 2 inches. 2 inches, the minimum of 2 inches. So that whenever there's a wear and tearing, you do not go down to the floor. Like this is my own pen now. If you can notice very well, the wearing and tearing has gone down to even, it's getting close to the floor level, to the ordinary sand level. So, of which this is not good. Had it been I did a more stronger casting than this, I would have achieved a better result. And this pen has lasted for about 3 years. So I need to be doing some serious renovation work before I stock in a new set of beds that I will be bringing in here. So like I said in one of my short videos, I do not recommend any farmer to do these shiny floors. This shiny floors has its own disadvantage. The disadvantage is more than the advantage. The disadvantage is that bears tend to sleep on this floor, and whenever there's a spill of water on this floor, it doesn't absorb. But on this floor that you just do, use 3/8 and make it to be we call it German flooring here in Nigeria. This can absorb water, unlike this shiny surface. Yes, this shiny surface tend to be a bit clean. It's quite easy to clean whenever you want to clean them. But aside from the ease in cleaning them, it doesn't give you another advantage, because it also causes your birds to sleep too as well. So you need 3 bags of cement to do your floor casting, to do a very strong casting on the floor, so that the birds will not get to destroy it so quickly, and so that ants do not penetrate underneath from outside of your pen into your pen to feast on your animals or even the animal feed. So 3 bags of cement will be just fine. We use the 3/8 sand. 3/8 sand is the kind of sand that has some little stones like gravel inside of it. So that's the better kind of sand to use. Use that 3/8 sand, 3.5 wheelbarrow of sand to 1 bag, or use 3 wheelbarrow of the 3/8 sand to 1 bag. So that 3/8 will make your aggregate, the casting, to be strong and solid. And try not to do any sloping. Let it just be total flat, because whenever there's a sloping, when you pour liters on them, there's every tendency that the liters will move from the parts that are higher to the lower region. So you try to do a flat casting. That sloping was one of the mistakes I made in my own pen. I tend to slope the floor work, which I noticed that the sloping wasn't a good idea. So it's best for you to do your flooring to be flat, totally flat, and avoid this smooth surfacing. This smooth surface doesn't help your pen at all. So you need 3 bags of cement to do that casting, and at least you definitely need to secure to do your poultry farm work. Or if you can get them in wheelbarrows, yes, you can get that, because even the blinding on the blinding of the block work before the block work will be laid, you need the 3/8 for that too as well. So that blinding you might need about 3 or let's say 4 wheelbarrows for the blinding before they start doing the laying of the blocks and then the floor casting. So at most you might require about 10 wheelbarrows of the 3/8 sand for you to do for you to work on your 100 capacity poultry pen. So the nails that you'll be needing for the construction of the pen, you will need zinc nail of about 2 pound weight. 2 pound weight of zinc nail is going to cost you about 4,000 naira. You need 3 inches of nails for the roofing framework, which you definitely need about 2 pound weight of 3 inches nail, which might cost you about 2,000 naira, depending on your environment, your locality. Then you definitely need 2 inches of nail for the seal for the wood framing, and also for the side walls. 2 inches of 2 pound weight of 2 inches nail, which will still cost you about 2,000 naira. And then we also need 3 pound weight of copper nails. So this copper nails is used for the fixing of the nets, the side wall nets. So you need about 3 pound weight of that nail to achieve that. That might cost you about 4,500. So I'll be dropping down the total cost of setting up this 100 capacity pen, which might cost you about 439,350 naira. That's in naira. I'll convert this on the screen for you in dollars so that you get to know the equivalent of that for building a 100 capacity poultry pen. So before I conclude, when you're done setting up this poultry pen, you definitely need lighting. In my own case, I'm using a solar lamp. I highly recommend you use a solar lamp, because even if you are using, even if you are in a location whereby you have power supply from the grid, it might still cost you extra money for you to be running power supply for the lighting in your pen. So, but if you have a solar lamp, it solves the problem entirely. You have lights, you have energy from the sun that you can trap and use it to lighten up your pen at night, and even when the weather is dark. So using a solar lamp is optional. For you to run a 100 capacity poultry pen, you definitely need drinkers and feeders. So for a 100 capacity broiler poultry farm, you need at least a minimum of 4 big feeders and 4 small feeders, or about 6 of them for the small feeders. I highly recommend you use nipple drinker. For a nipple drinker that will run this pen, if you use one long roll of one line of it that has about 10 nipples, or let's say 8 nipples, that will serve for this pen a long way. And maybe you can just get a mini tank of about 100 liters, or let's say 70 liters of a mini tank. Will serve very well. So if you watch my other videos, I talked about nipple drinker setup and all those stuff. You get to see and understand more depth of setting up a nipple drinker line for your poultry pen. So I believe the content you've watched is something that's educational and going to helpful for you. So please smash the like button, and if you're here to subscribe, please do well to subscribe to help grow this channel to reach out to more people. So thanks for watching this far, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.